So let's take a look at the presidential election itself. We have already been through the primaries and been through the convention, and now it's time for Americans to make their choice. Take a look at this election map. This is broken down by counties across the entire United States of America. Do you see a clear winner? Well, yeah, unless you're colorblind, and there's nothing wrong with that. Clearly, the red party absolutely crushed it in this election. Let's take a look at a different map. This one is drawing election results based on states so that the winner of the election in each state is represented by that state's color. Do you see a clear winner? Yeah, once again, you look at this and you probably are thinking, there's a lot more red states than there are blue states. Red is going to be the winner. But what if we just looked at numbers? As we take a look at the vote count, the red party had just under 63 million votes, and the blue party had just under 66 million votes. So clearly, the math says the blue party won that election. One problem. All of these represent the same election. What? Electing the president is a uniquely American tradition. Going all the way back to the writing of the Constitution in 1787, the framers did not want the president to be elected directly by the people, nor elected by Congress. They had to come up with a unique plan. Their solution was the Electoral College. The Electoral College is the group of people who meet every 4 years to select the president and the vice president. It is quite that simple, or maybe quite that complicated. The Electoral College meets once every 4 years to cast the official vote for president and vice president. But who picks them? That's where we come in. We, the people, select the Electoral College. Here's how it works. There are 538 electors in the Electoral College. 538 people who actually cast a ballot for president and vice president. Now, that number, 538, is spread across the United States based on sort of population. The reality is each state has the same number of electors as it has members in Congress. So representatives plus the Senate equals our electors. So here in Virginia, we have 11 representatives plus 2 senators, and that gives us 13 electoral college members. California has 53 representatives and 2 senators. That gives them 55 people in the Electoral College. Wyoming has 1 representative and 2 senators, and therefore 3 members in the Electoral College. And the idea is that the states determine which electors from each party will go and cast the official votes for that state. So that this is an indirect democracy. The people elect the Electoral College, who then in turn selects the president. The reasons that the framers used for this were kind of varied. For one, they generally did not trust the common person to be able to make a decision so important as selecting the president. And while today that seems incredibly wrong, back then the average person was not as well informed. After all, we got around on horseback. There weren't very many roads. There were newspapers, but they were very rudimentary and did not talk to each other. And so the average person in New York did not know about candidates, potential candidates in Virginia or in Maryland or in Georgia and vice versa. And so the idea was the average person would not know enough about the world and about all of the potential candidates to cast an informed decision. Also, the framers realized that it might be too difficult to try to count everybody's popular vote. Back then, it was all done with pen and paper. Also, we have to realize that they wanted to protect the interests of the states. They did not want the president to be selected by Congress. They did not want the president to be selected by the general population. But if each state had a say-so in who the president would be, then each state would be important. So those are the basic reasons for the framers to pick this. Then along came political parties, which had to change the Electoral College. You see, originally in the Electoral College, the people would choose these electors who would then go and meet together in each state and decide as a state who would be the best person to vote for president and vice president. And each one had 2 votes. Whoever got the most votes out of the Electoral College got to be president, and whoever got the second most votes got to be vice president. And this worked out really well until 1800, when political parties really came around. And in that year, all of the Democratic Republicans voted for Thomas Jefferson, and they all also voted for Aaron Burr. That meant there would be a tie for president of the United States. Can you imagine if our third president had been President Aaron Burr, the guy who shot Hamilton, instead of Thomas Jefferson? Well, after the election of 1800, a new amendment was going to be added to the Constitution that said, nope. From now on, each state will cast one vote, or will cast votes, one for president and one for vice president. So the college would definitely be split. However, it is possible for there to still be problems coming out of this Electoral College. The way it works today, on Election Day, which happens on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November of even-numbered years every 4th year for the president's election, the people show up and we vote. And we are voting for our preference of either the Democrat or the Republican or of another political party. And the idea is whoever wins the most votes across the entire state gets all of that state's electoral votes. That's what we mean by winner take all. Whoever gets the most votes in the state gets all of that state's electoral votes. So as you can see by this map from the election of 2016, Virginia, more people voted for Hillary Clinton than Donald Trump, and therefore Hillary Clinton got all 13 electoral votes and Trump got 0. In Florida, the opposite occurred. Donald Trump received more votes than Hillary Clinton, so Donald Trump got 29 electoral votes and Hillary Clinton got none out of Florida. That's what we mean by winner take all. Whoever gets the most votes in that state gets all of that state's electoral votes. So when we show up to vote for president, we are voting for our state's votes for president. So here in Virginia, we are voting for those 13 electoral votes. Now, it is possible for there to not be a winner. It takes 270. Remember, there are 538 people in the Electoral College. It takes 270 in order to win. What if it's a tie? Or what if there might be a third party and nobody reaches that 270 number? In that case, it is up to the House of Representatives to pick the president. The House of Representatives would vote by state to select the next president. Fun fact, the Senate would have a similar election and they would be picking the vice president. Now, there are some flaws in this Electoral College system, and these flaws are very, very evident every 4 years. One common complaint is that we have these things called faithless electors. That is to say, people who are selected to go to the Electoral College, but who choose to vote for somebody other than the person, the candidate who won the plurality or won the most votes across that state. They are known as faithless electors because there are very few laws that mandate each elector vote for that person. It is possible. Now, does it happen very often? Not to the extent that it influences the outcome of an election. While sure, every once in a while we'll have a faithless elector pop up, the reality is they have never really determined the outcome of an election. Of course, it is also possible for there to be what we might refer to as an unpopular president. And here I mean a president who wins the Electoral College but loses the popular vote. 2016 was an example of this, when Hillary Clinton won the most popular votes yet lost in the Electoral College. This does not happen very often. It happened in 2016 and before that in 2000. However, before that, it had been 100 years since we had an unpopular president. It's also awkward because of how things look. They look a little bit different. They look a little skewed. They look like a landslide might be where there really wasn't one. And so it does make things look a little bit different. And of course, it's complicated. This is a very difficult system to process. It's a difficult system for us to learn. And we have to be reminded every 4 years that our votes do count. They are very, very important, but it's actually the Electoral College that is making the ultimate determination. So we have to learn about this stuff. It is very, very complicated. Now, there's several plans to change it. And once again, about every 4 years, there comes a call. We need to change this Electoral College. One plan is the district plan. In the district plan, each congressional district would select one elector. So if I live in the 7th district in Virginia, when I cast my vote, I would be voting for the elector for the 7th district. And so this way here, it would be more representative based on a smaller location. Then with the district plan, whoever gets the most votes across the entire state would get the 2 extra votes that would go towards, that would be indicated from the Senate representative. And so that is called the district vote plan. Quite a few Americans really believe in this. Another plan to change it would be the bonus point plan or the bonus elector plan. In this plan, this would be revising the Electoral College to add 100 electors to make it, instead of 538, to make it 638, and give 100 electors to the candidate who wins the national popular vote, thus almost ensuring every single time whoever wins the popular vote gets to be the president. Another more complicated and not very popular plan is the proportional vote plan, and that would be for each state to divide its electoral votes based on the proportion of votes that they won within the state. This seems a little bit more complicated than the most popular plan, which is the direct vote plan. What more Americans prefer is the idea that we would directly elect a president, just like they do in most other democratic nations in the world. The people all vote. So that means that a vote in Virginia is the same as a vote in Texas, is the same as a vote in California, which is the same as the vote in Wyoming. All people would vote directly on the president, and now with new technologies, we could count these up relatively quickly. But of course, some people say maybe we ought to just keep it as it is. After all, this is an American tradition. It's like no other. And it's uniquely American. It's what we do, and it's what we've had. And it does, for the most part, work. We've only had 5 elections so far where an unpopular president has been elected. And so even though the results might look a little bit whopper-jawed, it does basically work. And it also reflects federalism. Every single state is important. The large states and the small states all have electoral votes. And especially in this system today, the smaller states need to have the Electoral College so that they will get the attention of national candidates. After all, small states do add up and can make the difference in the outcome of an election. And of course, we need to remember that it's going to be so difficult to change this. It would require a new amendment to the Constitution. It would have to be proposed by 2/3 of both houses of Congress and then be ratified by 3/4 of the states, which is very unlikely to happen. So it looks like we are going to be stuck with this traditional electoral college that is uniquely American because other countries would not adopt such a system.